Hi Prof. We will present our case study which is yield gap in oil palm production. Our group members are Muhammad Iqmal, Muhammad Syami, Muhammad Amirun Haziq and Muhammad Nur Arifuddin.
Hi Prof. My name Muhammad Amirun Haziq bin Muhammad Amran. Okay, for the introduction, the center of origin of the African oil palm or Alas guineensis is in the tropical lowland tropic of West Africa. In primary forests, white oil palm are rare, but they are thrive in disturbed and very wet areas such as swamps and riverbanks where the sunshine is plentiful and also the water is available throughout of the years. Over the last 100 years, oil palm has been the world's most valuable vegetable oil crop, from a smallholder agroforestry crop and ornamental palm. Global worldwide demand is estimated at 63 meter ton crude palm oil or CPO per year, or 36% of the current world vegetable oil production. Yield distance research has been widely used to explore where to increase the soil productivity. The yield distance is characterized as the difference between the potential and the real yield, with the potential yield being the upper limit of production per hectare. This potentially is known as the theoretical yield at a given temperature and also atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide or CO2 in the atmosphere, and incoming photosynthetically active radiation or part with the optimal agronomic management and without limitation of water, nutrient, pest and also the disease. For introduction, our oil palm in Malaysia, in 1870, Alas guineensis or oil palm was introduced as an ornamental plant in Malaysia. During 1960, the area of planting for this crop was rapidly increased. According to the Malaysian Palm Oil Board or MPOB, oil palm export reached approximately around 39.04 million tonnes in 2011. 46% of which was contributed by Malaysia.
Hi and hello Prof. My name is Muhammad Nur Arifuddin bin Mustafa Kamal. I will present about literature review of oil palm industry. As a global demand for vegetable oil increased, the oil palm industry responded by expanding the plant area. The plant area of oil palm is Indonesia, the world major palm oil producer, 2003 until 2012. This is the environmental concern about the conversion of tropical forests into plantation of oil palm. This includes increased CO2 emission from deforestation and degrading of its soil and loss of biodiversity. Environmentalists are often at odds and foreign developers, particularly of Southeast Asia. There is global movement of reduce deforestation and restrict use of oil palm plantation in low carbon degrade land, include land clear from the forest in pests. An alternative to expanding the area of oil palm is to increase the productivity of existing plantation. But first we need to know how to actually yield compared to this can be obtained with good management, which is called yield gap. Most analysis of the yield gap have been with annual crop. The analysis of global crop yield food security focus on the yield gap in the food crop including oil palm. Yield gap is perennial crop as important as oil palm.
Okay, next for the chapter 3 in the research methodology. In production ecology, there are three commonly distinguished. For the first is potential yield that determined by yield defining factors such as temperature, ambient CO2 concentration and crop genetic characteristic. For the second is water limiting and nutrient limited yield determined by yield limiting factor such as water and also the nutrition. And last, the actual yield that determined by yield reducing factors by which pest and also the disease. Yield gap analysis that's analyze the difference between the potential yield assuming genotype and management are optimal and actual yield in the particular physical environment. So the potential yield as the yield of cultivar when grown in environments to which it is adapted such as with the nutrient and also the water non-limiting, and pest and disease or weeds or lodging and other stress effectively controlled. The theoretical limit to genetic gain in crop yield can be calculated using simulation modes. This number is sometimes also referred to as the potential yield in oil palm literature and can be used to set a target for breeders and to explore future scenarios such as for the land use. Oil palm management literature refers to the site yield potential, defined as the yield obtained on a specified site with the natural water supplies, supply the nutrient at optimal rates, and agronomy and disease control measure that implemented to the high standard. So the accurate analysis of yield gaps depend on the correct assessment of the various production levels. The yield determine yield limiting and yield reducing factor relevant in oil palm and their quantitative effect on productivity.
The potential yield of oil palm and yield determining factors. The potential oil yield as defined by fruit punch yield and oil content is determined by first, available radiation and photosynthetically active radiation. The oil palm is able to intercept radiation throughout the year as a perennial with a permanent leaf canopy, which is one of the main reasons why its productivity is so high compared to other vegetable oil crops. The available radiation in the tropic is mostly limited by cloudiness. Second is carbon dioxide concentration. The rate of photosynthesis in crops such as oil palm is limited by the availability of carbon dioxide under current circumstance. In other crops such as wheat, yield increase of 10 to 30% were observed in response to double atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations. Depends on various factors, especially the source, balance and the air temperature, whether increased photosynthesis rates are translated into improved yields. If the temperature remains stable, mature palms are usually source limited, making it actual yield reaction to rising carbon dioxide concentrations likely. Next is temperature. In oil palm leaf, the upper temperature limit for effective photosynthesis is at 38 degrees Celsius and above, provided that the vapor pressure deficit is small. In plants, temperature and maintenance breeding are strongly positive, with an average factor of increasing maintenance breeding at every 10 degrees Celsius temperature rise. Strong reduction in yield occur during the second half of the cold season and the beginning of the warmer season in cooler regions such as Brazil and Honduras, and low temperature at higher elevation in Sumatra have been found to extend the immature period by at least 1 year. Planting material. Non-clonal seed-based planting materials consist of population of descendants of Dura, mother, and Passifera, father, and individuals vary in terms of vegetative growth, potential, and productivity. Through breeding with specific male-female parents combination that show an early record of performance, potential yield of Dura Passifera planting materials have increased by an estimate 1.5% per year. This trend in yield growth is expected to continue, owing to a combination of better uniformity, increased fruit bunch yield, and higher oil-to-bunch ratio. Clones from carefully selected otates can output conventional seed material by 20 to 30%. And lastly is planting distance. The requirement for rapid canopy closure in the immature stage with a large number of palms in the young mature phase and limited inter-palm competition for light in the mature phase is balanced by optimum planting density. vegetative growth on the pit is reduced and more dense planting has been recommended. An effective strategy for yield maximization is high intensity planting followed by selective thinning.
Finding from data, which is implement best management practice. Best management practice is that means combination of practices that are determined to be an effective and practicable, is including technology, economy, and institution consideration. It means preventing or reducing the amount of pollution generated by non-point source of level compatible with water quality goals. This can also be part of process that you use to plan, conduct, and close out a forest operation. For example, include pre-harvest planning, laying of road, advanced construction, making stream buffer, and paying a flagging, and locating stream on the site before you begin work. Best management practice can be structured things that you install on the ground. For example, may include runoff divisions, seal fence, stream buffer, and ground cover vegetable over soil area. BMPS needs to be adapted to local conditions and aim to reduce stress in oil palm with appropriate measurement and agronomy techniques so that the number of the bunches that reach harvest is more significant and bunches are larger. Best management practice related to planting material production and selection will determine each source genetic yield, potential, or type of planting material. Best management practice related to land appraisal and development and field planting determine the maximum attainable yield for the particular planting material. Best management practice related to post-planting maintenance, aspect maintenance, influence, and actual attainable yield. Next is implement of best management practice. The soil is managed to minimize soil erosion and surface runoff, such as platform, terrace, and contour bunds installed according to need. A full stand of healthier trees have been established at the optimal plant spacing, such as high-density planting may require thinning if interpalm competition become evident in later year. A balanced optimal amount of all required nutrient is supplied, such as optimal treatment from fertilizer experiment should be used for each land class. All red fruit is harvested and removed from the field following standard estate producer. Harvest paths and bridge must be maintained so the harvester performance is unimpaired. Pests, disease, and weeds are controlled according to estate standards. An early warning system should be implemented to prompt control measure with economy pest attack occur. Log and other debris not clear of planting with removed from all plant and circles. Soil conservation measure such as palm platform, contour, and path will install to reduce soil erosion losses and surface water runoff and provide access for harvesting and fertilizer application. Supply pump were planted in vacant low laying are installed drying to bring each block to complete palm stand.
Hi, I'm Muhammad Syami bin Muhammad Zulkifli. Now I will explain about the eliminating yield gap by specific field management. Okay, our approach to eliminating yield gaps involve a three-step process. Okay, first, the economic opportunity for production improvement in a particular plantation is assessed using best estimate of yield potential based on yield obtained in optimal nutrient treatment in well-managed fertilizer trials on corresponding soil type under similar climatic condition. Okay, yield gap for each field of plus or minus 30 hectare are calculated by comparing actual yield with yield potential based on yield profile estimate for each soil type. Yield gaps are then aggregated to estimate the economic opportunity for production improvement for all field in the plantation. Okay, size of yield and production gaps are calculated for each soil type and palm each group to provide special information on the opportunity for yield improvement. Okay, now we move to the second point. A field phase is set up where pair block similar in present yield, soil type, planting material, agronomic condition are selected in 5 management units each of 1,000 to 1,500 hectare at each plantation site. Okay, in the higher yielding of the 2 blocks management and agronomic practices are continued according to the standard estate practices. Okay, best management practices are introduced in the lower yielding block of each pair. An inventory of limiting factors is prepared for both fields, including less than optimal management and soil properties. Corrective action is taken only in the BMP block where management ensure complete crop recovery by careful and rigorous supervision and a short interval of 7 days between harvests. Once complete, crop recovery is achieved and management focus on timely and accurate fertilizer application, implementing correct standard for leaf canopy like pruning, like fraud retention and ground cover, and soil conservation measure are installed as required. In the second year, fertilizer application rates may be adjusted in the BMP block if deficiencies are detected by leaf analysis and visual inspection. Monthly yield component data as well as labor and input use data are collected and stored in each pair of field. Okay, for the last process is the cost-benefit ratio of implementing best management practices is determined. If yield improvement provides a satisfactory economic return, the improved practices are scaled up and implemented in the respective plantation management unit of 1,000 to 1,500 hectare. Okay, now we move to the conclusion. In studies explaining yield gaps, a large variety of factors are considered. The selection of factors is influenced by first is objective of the study, second is knowledge on possible explaining factors, and the third is the method used to explain yield gaps, and the last one is data availability. Okay, the result of the study showed that management factors were most often considered compared to edaphic, farm characteristic, and socio-economic factors. Although fertilization-related factors seem to be more often considered, when considered, other management factors like land preparation, irrigation, and crop characteristic also often explain the yield gap. When considered, both farm characteristic and socio-economic factors also often explain the yield gap. Thus, future yield gap studies need to collect and consider farm characteristic and socio-economic factors to explain the yield gap as well. Information related to quantity, for example, nitrogen fertilizer quantity, irrigation amount, and number of feeding operation is more often collected and used in yield gap analysis than timing. For example, nitrogen fertilizer timing, irrigation timing, and timing of feeding. However, when considered, the timing of management activities often explain the yield gap. Hence, it is important that data about the timing of operational activities is also collected and taken into account in the analysis. The relevance of factors to explain the yield gaps depend on the location and crop, and generalization should not be made. Explaining factors are region and crop specific, and approaches for data collection should be region and or crop specific. Data availability can be increased by using bottom-up data collection approach like crowdsourcing. White might have to collect more of the explanatory factors, particularly from the categories of farm characteristic and socio-economic factors. That's all from us. Thank you. Bye.